Hello, everybody. My name is Vicky Jeter, and I am the Senior Practitioner for Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. And I'm recording this today because for the month of February, our minister, Reverend Carolyn Harville, is on sabbatical. And so the practitioners of Louisville Center have it in mind to do a series of videos to stay in touch with our community and reach out to other people who may not yet know what Louisville Center for Spiritual Living is all about. And my theme for these videos through the month of February while she's on sabbatical is, generally speaking, love, because it's February, and also because love truly is the essence of what we are, and in one way, the source of what all of life is. Excuse me. And the title for my video today is Love is Where You Find It. I want to start with the very foundation of how to look at love in our lives for some people who maybe have heard that term a great deal, but don't really have a sense of being in touch with it for themselves beyond knowing that we're supposed to love the people around us, the people who are our family. Most people can get in touch with the idea of loving, say, a vulnerable animal or their own pets kind of thing. But some people have a difficult time with actually loving ourselves. And really, when you come down to it, when you really stop and think, what does it mean to love oneself? What is love in essence, really, beyond the kinds of ways that we talk about it? And so this is where I'm starting today. And in principle, from what the Science of Mind teaches, what's true, one of the things that Ernest Holmes taught the most consistently was in prayer, if you can come to a place on a feeling level where you already have what you're asking for, that's the most powerful place you can pray from. Because when we have the qualities that we're praying for, then we've already got the pattern for it. We're just multiplying that pattern. And in Scripture, one place to look for that is when Jesus multiplied the fish and the loaves to feed the masses. That's that same principle. As long as you have a piece of something or one of something, you can then just work with the powers of creation to multiply it. And coming from that place, so if what's true is that it's difficult sometimes to get in touch with our love for ourselves, then how do we go about getting in touch with the feeling qualities of love to then have them expand in our lives? And I have a story I want to share with you, which comes up with the title of this particular video, which is Love is Where You Find It. And this story came to me, excuse me just one second. This story came to me when I was a little girl, about 10 years old, and I had no idea what was coming. I was just kind of like flipping through the TV channels, and all of a sudden, I hit on this adorable play. It was a play that was on TV, someone had produced, and the characters in this play were a giraffe and a squirrel and a caterpillar. And that just really caught my attention right away, because I thought, well, what an odd set of characters that is. So I got to watching this little story. And these three were best friends, and they were kids in the story. They were young giraffe, young squirrel, and a young caterpillar. And they loved each other so much. They were like family. And so the story went along, and sometimes they were doing what giraffes like to do, and sometimes they were doing together what squirrels like to do, and sometimes they were doing together what caterpillars like to do. And ultimately, after several rounds of showing how these three supported each other in love, the caterpillar one day did not show up. And they had a tendency to meet in the squirrel's treehouse because it was easy for the giraffe. All he had to do was poke his head in. And the squirrel, of course, lived there, and the caterpillar could get up there too. So many of the scenes of the show were in the squirrel's treehouse. And so one day they were scheduled to meet and go have a day together, and the caterpillar didn't show up. And of course, they were very concerned about their friend. And they looked for him and they called for him and they couldn't find the caterpillar. And oh my goodness, they were worried. And so they decided they needed some help. They needed some wisdom. And as forest animals are wont to do in many forest stories, they went and found Friend Owl, because Friend Owl had a tendency to know the larger pictures of life. So the two of them, the squirrel and the giraffe, who still have not found the caterpillar, go to Friend Owl and they say, you know, Caterpillar is always on time. He never misses if we have a date to go play. And we're very worried. And Friend Owl listens to them very carefully, and he furrows his brow a bit, and he's not quite sure how to tell them exactly what the truth is, but he settles himself and he says, well, he says, your caterpillar friend is in a state of transforming. And of course, giraffe and squirrel, they didn't know what that meant, and it sounded pretty ominous to them, and so they were more concerned at first. But Owl told them, he said, well, caterpillars do this. This is part of what a caterpillar's life is, and you're likely to find your friend around in the bushes, around where he lives. Look underneath the leaves, and my guess is you will probably find your friend. And so they took that in, and they weren't quite sure what that meant or why, but they followed his instructions, and sure enough, not too far from the squirrel's treehouse in the bushes, they found the chrysalis. That is now the space where the caterpillar was in hibernation. And so after they found the chrysalis, then they didn't know what to do at all. They tried to wake him up and nothing happened. And at least they were reassured. They knew where he was. And Friend Owl didn't say that that would mean that he was gone. And so they felt better about that, but they didn't understand why they couldn't rouse him. So they went back to Friend Owl and they said, oh, thank you so much. We found our friend, but we don't know what to do because he won't talk to us. He won't wake up. And the owl explained that he wasn't going to wake up in the same state that he was in. And they wanted to know what to do to help. They said, well, you know, we don't understand what's going on. And Owl said, your friend needs love. He needs to be surrounded by love every day in every way to move him through this process of transformation. And Squirrel and Giraffe, they didn't know what that meant either. And they said, well, where do we find love? How do we surround our friend in love? And Owl said, love is where you find it. And they wanted to ask more questions, but Owl held up his wings and he said, no, this is your journey. Love is where you find it. You take your friend and trust the process. And so Giraffe and Squirrel took the chrysalis, and they determined that they were going to surround their friend Caterpillar with as much love as they could possibly find. And so they took him back up into Squirrel's treehouse, and Giraffe came too. He was very comfortable there with being able to reach up into the treehouse just by looking. And they sat with the chrysalis, and Squirrel rocked it like a baby in arms, and they told him how much they loved him all the time, every day. And ultimately, one day, while they were right there with him, the chrysalis broke open, and Caterpillar came out as a butterfly. And it filled giraffe and squirrel so much to see that their friend had became this creature of such beauty that all of them had actually admired all of their lives, and they just never knew that caterpillar would one day become a butterfly. And so the moral of this story that I took from it then, and I encourage all of you to take from it now, is love is where you find it. And the different types of things that we hear about learning to love ourselves, about the fact that God is love, etc., really, it's not about trying to figure that out in your head. If you can find one place in your life that you have a sense of feeling love for, if that might be flowers, if that might be your pets, if that might be a song you've heard that makes you feel love, anywhere. And it could be, of course, many things. Could be the love for your family. Where you spontaneously find yourself experiencing love, then that's where you have the pattern for it. Even if it doesn't seem like that should be the center of your love, or if you've never thought of it before, but maybe contemplating it in this way is something that brings some ideas for you, where you find yourself feeling that sense of deep appreciation, preciousness, high regard, then there you know, that's love. And once we find it, then, much like multiplying the fish and the loaves, once we find it, then it's just about asking, what would it take to expand this? So if you have an area of your love, of your life, in which you feel love, then, and you think about other areas where you'd like to feel more love, you can say, okay, what's the difference between this place here where I feel spontaneous love and this over here where I'd like to feel more love, but I have a harder time with that? And if you look at what some of those differences are, you can often come to a place where you can recognize, oh, well, over here, it's easy to feel love here because there's not as many expectations, or I have more time around this piece, whatever it might be. Then you can say, how can I develop those conditions more over here so that I can begin to feel more loving? And that's what I have to share with you for today. And I'm going to end this with a treatment about love in your lives. And then also I'll be attaching a song.
Kind friends all gathered round, there's something I would say, that what brings us together here has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside, where strangers are as family and loneliness can't hide. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. I've walked these mountains in the rain, learn to love the wind. I've been up before the sunrise to watch the day begin. I always knew I'd find you, though I never did know how. But like sunshine on a cloudy day, stand before me now. So give yourself to love, love is what you're after, open up your hearts to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Love is born in fire. It's planted like a seed. Love can't give you everything, but it gives you what you need. And love comes when you are ready. Love comes when you're afraid. Will be your greatest teacher, the best friend you have made. So give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your hearts to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your hearts to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
About love to the end of this video. And so for right here and right now, this is what Science of Mind or Centers for Spiritual Living calls an affirmative prayer or treatment. Beginning with a pause to create space for what is new from what has been in this little presentation. Moving now into speaking the word in prayer. Just take a moment to breathe and relax. Turning my attention towards spirit and recognizing that there is one life by any name, in, through, and as all forms, all feelings, all potentials, all energies, all dynamics, and all dimensions. There is nowhere that spirit is not. And from this recognition as the all that is all, I am that source. I am spirit in its fullness, as is each person listening to this recording right now, watching this video right now. Each person fully expressed of the source that hung the stars. And all is well. It is not possible to become separated from source, as it is all that is, and it is only love. Regardless of appearances, there is no other. And from this alignment, in mind, heart, and soul, I realize in my experience that everyone within the sound of this word is available to and accessible to the well of love from within them. That love is where they find it. And that in the simplicity of just beginning to notice effortlessly, just set yourself to moving through your normal everyday and notice where there are places that you feel more free, more joyful, more loving. Even if it doesn't feel like a lot, notice where those places are, that those feelings that you would imagine are related to love come more easily. And as you come in touch with them and recognize this is where I find love in my life, and where I have love and where I can speak the word to that love will grow. Be it love for my family, love for my partner. It can be romantic love. It can be even love for the things that we enjoy doing as human beings. Even that is one form of the joy that is love. And as we get in touch with it and we name and claim in spirit that we're allowing it to grow, growing and expanding is what it does from one point in our lives to the next, until ultimately we have that transformation where, because of love, we find ourselves flying free with greater perspective of the whole picture of life and greater sense of realizing who and what we really are. So for this time, for this knowing, and for this opportunity, I am so grateful. Thank you, Presence of Life, for this word received by the law of creation and acted upon, showing up as self-evident in love in the lives of everyone that this video touches. And so it is with the heart of a child, surrendering to something so much greater than myself. I just release it, I let it be, and so it is.